So as you can see, we got all the clips here, and we have 80 clips that were shot January 2019. And one of the first things you can do while shooting a game is to edit while you shoot. So eliminate clips that you know are not going to be used. Like, for example, this ain't going to be used. This is like a warm-up or right after a play, I mean. And here's a good example. We wouldn't use the Arlington player anyway, kicking this ball. And also, why set up so far in advance of his kick? Half the clip is spent just waiting for him to get ready. You know, when he steps back into the corner, start rolling then. And there's a lot of other issues I see here too with just, the ball goes free. We see plays that we know that aren't going to be used. Like this one we will use. But others that are halfway across the field or really loose, like for an example here, that's not bad. That's usable. But like here, this is another waiting shot. We're waiting for you to kick it, then he kicks it. Start rolling just before he kicks it. And again, there's 80 clips here, so there's going to be a lot that are unusable. So after you shoot, you should immediately start editing. Like at halftime, for example, unless you're downloading it to a laptop, which I wouldn't recommend. I think you should continue editing. Editing in the camera first. And you may have eliminated some, but another issue too is match your exposures, because this one is exposed differently from this one. There's a lot more exposure, higher. It's overexposed a little bit, and almost all of these are overexposed. Look how punchy the whites are in there. The whites are blown out. If you have to slightly underexpose, it would actually look better than over. This is the edit that was done. It looks like it's about 1 minute 37 seconds long. It's not a bad edit by any means, but we have a title. We have a nice beginning here. They killed the audio for the background audio because we have a lot of wind. And, not a bad shot here too, but I would have started not with the last guy running up, but go right into the action. So we'll look at the whole thing first. Okay, and then we come to here, which is... Don't really know why we're doing that, like coming in with this shot and all that blasted out audio, as you can see down here, and then we come to this shot where we're throwing it in, and then to this weird transition. Not really sure why we need any of that. Okay, so we do have a nice shot here. Long ball coming in, it bounces off the post, keeper falls on it. Okay, but here's another example here. We're just waiting for him to pick it up, and what I would suggest doing is we come to this point, go Command B on the keyboard, cut it, come in and use the Ken Burns effect here under crop. So we can push in a little bit on this guy. All right, so here he's falling on the ball. Go to crop and just push in on him a bit so we can see him a little better. I know most of the time this quality isn't going to be very good, but it should be okay for the scene. So boom, then we jump into a tighter shot. It looks okay. It's not great, but it's also not rendered yet. Here's a nice little turn and kick. All right, and the other player's moving it up the field. But let's look, is there more there? Is that it? No, we cut at that point. Okay, well, it's still not a bad shot. Now we're going to go here and look at, see, we got a crash, zoom in, crash, zoom out. And the ball, another crash, zoom out. So for the end here, there's no point in keeping the end of this clip at all, because we can't really tell what's going on after the ball was released by that other player. So come back, trim it to the last really usable part, which is when he kicked it away. And so we come from that to this. Now we're back here, another waiting forever and to stabilize the camera, and then the kick. What the heck are we doing? Trim it, trim it, trim it, trim it. Get rid of all that. So for example, we're looking at this here. What the heck are we doing? Just staring at this camera bouncing up and bouncing around. So it's trimming on the right, so we're just going to go right to the point where our player kicks it. Like that, boom. Keeping to the action and staying with the action. And in this particular situation, I think you'd be better off cropping that entire clip, because it's super loose the whole time. We need to be pushed in on this, and also I don't know what shutter speed was used, but we can push it to 6400 ISO and have it at the highest shutter speed we can handle to freeze some of the motion we're having here. Okay, and also when you're shooting, you might consider not shooting on the side that the line judge is. The line judge is walking through your shot constantly. Go to the other side of the field if you have to avoid him. All right, so let's go ahead and try this. We're going to take this entire clip to this point here. Let's see how long it is. To the point where the score happens. and then we get some celebration. I think we could push in on most of that. So let's go ahead and cut to this point where the ball's kicked. And so I'm going to drop, cut B here, select that first one, and go again to crop, and go, oh, I'm not on it, there, we got to be on it, and go to crop, and just move in a bit on the whole thing. Okay, and just kind of center it up because most of the action's happening in the center of the frame. Okay, do that, come back to here, and so it's a little tighter, action is a little closer. Okay, that's good. See, everything still fits in the frame. Guy kicks the ball, another one kicks the ball, puts it in, no problem. Now we've cut to the wider shot here, which this is where you should be pushing into max. There you did push into max zoom, and that's okay. All right, but here's another example. Camera's bouncing all around. We're waiting for the shot. Why do that? Just come in, go straight to the action. Don't wait for the camera. We just want to go right to there, so we go straight to it. Boom, right to the action. Ball's up, goes in, boom, in. Now, that was a beautiful shot there. Okay, so another one here. This is another one we can crop in on and take advantage of the high quality of these cameras and crop. So, and it looks, everything's pretty much in the center of the frame. So we're going to do that. It's not letting me do it. I got to get on the edge and crop in. Again, this is overexposed a little bit, as you can see from the scene. It's quite overexposed. But let's go again. Okay, so here we go. Taking a look at it here. Okay, so he kicks it, boom. Following the ball pretty good. Bam, goes straight in. Nice. Okay, now, and then this is an issue too, I noticed. The celebration is right at the end there. And you guys stop recording it. The celebration is the best part of what we're shooting. The action is just secondary. It's really what the players are doing, celebration-wise and other, that is much more important. So here, this is a great shot. Why did you cut this? Don't cut stuff like that. That is we want to see that. This is what they show on highlights for games, the celebration. And also, they're the best shots that we have because we're not really good at capturing the action. Now, this is an example here of a fairly useless, that was just completely useless scene here, cut. It's too far away. You don't use anything past midfield where that player number 7 is here. Right, no, let's go back. You shouldn't be going beyond this right here. It's just not usable. So I'm going to cut that scene completely. Just delete it right out of there. All right, so we got this kid moving the ball again, looking good. Puts it to the middle. We have a nice little header, or almost header. And let's see what else we have. I'll go back to it. Okay, so we have the header going in. He touches the ball and he taps it back to him, and the guy puts it up the field again to another player. Then we turn, and this is a good shot, turning, and let's see what happens. And then we just drop it right there, and that's okay because I guess that's the end. But the best thing to do is you can do it out of order and have a celebration here at the end. You don't have to have your game completely in chronological order. You can drop in a scene back here, especially celebration. And I didn't look at all 80 of these clips, but guys, get stuff on the sideline. Get a nice tight shot of players watching to throw in, because just pure action, honestly, is pretty darn boring. Like this might be good. Why didn't we use this at the end? So I'm going to go, I just happen to just find this right now. Again, I'm just going to go in, select a little bit of that, and then drop that in at the end before the scoreboard. And let's see, I don't think the audio is going to be usable. No, but there you go. That's nice. We won, and it makes a good moment, like so. So we're going to do that. Hey, we won. Great. And we're out of here. Okay, and there's our final score. So it's still about 1 minute 28 seconds with what I've cut. It was about 1 minute and 37 from before, so 1.5 minutes not bad. Another thing is, like I said, go through with the exposure. The exposure looks good here. One thing you can do to help with the exposure is I have a filter that's called Vignette, but it brings down the exposure overall too slightly, and it looks, it brings down the edges, it brings down the highlights, and it looks okay. And you can, if you make a compound clip, you can just drag it on all of it. But you see the improvement it's making. Like, let's take a look at this scene. Drag it over that, drop it on. Oh, it moved it there. But look, it darkens it just slightly, enough to bring down the exposure and the edges. And so you just drop it on all of these. Now we can't do it on there. And here, these are a little punchy. So you go up to your controls here to drop down the exposure just a bit and go to the mid-tones. Don't mess with the whites usually, because even though you may see a slight improvement, all it does is make them gray. Don't mess with the whites. Always go with the mid-tones. So there's an improvement right there. You know, we've got that. That looks better right there too. And also, don't be afraid to use slow motion sometimes. In some plays, it works really well. Even though our cameras don't shoot at a high frame rate, we can still slow it down just a bit. Okay. And again, we're bringing down the exposure, which means you could have exposed at a higher ISO or lower ISO and a higher shutter speed while you were there, and it would have solved a lot of our problems. Again, this is too punchy. Again, going straight to the action here, you know. Kid runs up, we'll wait till he gets in there, and then, you know, there's the shot, basically. Let's go back. Right there. So now it's only 1:24. It looks more dramatic. Lighting looks better. But guys, get the sideline stuff. Get the reaction shots. Get a close-up of the coach. Show some variety in your shots. I know we had 3 people shooting this. We can do better than that. This isn't bad by any means. It's just not anywhere near what we could do if we just follow these simple rules in shooting. So this is a good example of how to handle and shoot a soccer game. Again, remember, editing at halftime, you know the shot you've got was bad, delete it immediately, and it's easier to edit later. We have 80 clips from 3 shooters. That's not bad when it comes to the total number, but wow, that is a lot of work for an editor to go through a lot of really, some of them mostly useless clips that could have just easily been deleted. So there you go. That's how you should edit a soccer game.